Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. We're back here with Jake and Simon today. Now, this podcast is back. It's on this special new channel. It's also going out on Spotify, Apple Music and Amazon as well. So we need to be a bit careful about how we're describing things. We're not used to it because it's not all on video. Some of our audio listeners as well. So thanks for joining us. Today's subjects, we have some information about the new Time Scylon. This must be the most eagerly awaited bike. Definitely in our audience anyway. Comes at the same time as that Colnago launches a new rim brake, and also we've got a few bits of industry news that we just want to tick off towards the end. Okay, Time Scylon. This is the top of the range aero road bike, and my God, we have been talking about this for
we've been waiting for years for this, haven't we?
Yeah, and all of our comments and all our videos about Time are like, when's the Scylon coming? And so the reason we're talking about this, we haven't got much we can show you, is because we've had customers contact us who have contacted Time, who have been told that the new Time Scylon is between 45 and 60 days away from launch. Not bad.
Soon be Christmas.
We also know that the current ADH24, their current road bike, is on sale, 20% off at the moment, which we can price match if we need to. So all roads lead to Rome, so to speak. It's a pretty compelling evidence, I think. Now, we do actually have some images here that we're not allowed to show you. So we've got a couple of things in here.
So it's okay for the people listening because they can't see the images.
Yeah, exactly. We can't show it, but we are allowed to talk about it. So I've spoken to the Time rep. He said, yeah, you can kind of talk about it, just don't show this document. So it definitely looks aero. It definitely looks like a Time Scylon.
It does look like a Scylon.
And what I mean by that, it's still got that sort of carbon, but we don't know all the colours yet. It's still got that traditional sort of head tube that we see, but it looks like the head tube has been slimmed down. We've got some aero features on there as well. They've done some stuff with the carbon technology. They say 40% more high modulus fibre. Now that blows my mind a little bit because Time bikes are famously stiff, and they're making this even stiffer.
Well, I mean, that's what you always say, isn't it? It's stiffer and more compliant.
I haven't said much about compliance.
No, they did say front end is stiffer,
yeah.
Back end is more compliant, and that is typically what you see from a Time bike, isn't it? So we'll have that really sharp handling, the confidence you get, but still comfortable to ride, and that's something you don't often see in an aero bike. It's often very stiff and very harsh. So I'll be intrigued to see, because I've never ridden a Scylon.
Or a little bit soggy, to be fair, because they've slimmed out so much material that it all gets a little bit soft and soggy at the front. So it's So they've done this apparently. Also, they've made it lighter.
How much lighter is it?
15%.
Oh right. That's
so if a normal Scylon was around 1 kilo for a frame, this is getting that down to fairly compelling.
Now, is that actually going to be lighter than an Outdoors?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it's interesting because, typically an aero bike, it's actually heavier, but it's actually quite nice to see that there's even improvements in the weight department on an aero bike. It's something we don't typically see.
So lighter weight and stiffer then, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely. So here's a design. It's not massively different to the current one, to be honest. They've just tidied it up a little bit. So it's still got the aerodynamic seat post.
Yeah.
It's still an external seat post clamp, which I like. I think that's a really, really good idea. So there's no like little internal things like that. Still BB386 Evo. I don't think that'll ever change.
No. I think it's about the only standard that works with just about every crank size, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. Still using exactly the same dropouts as we've seen. So all that forged, if you like, carbon dropouts, which looks fantastic. It's still got the front mech as well. It looks like they've designed it as well to have a removable front mech, so you could run it one by a more time trial
very similar to what you see on the current Outdoors lineup.
And the rear chain stays look identical, but the seat stays have all had that aerodynamic treatment and all look very like aerodynamic profiles and join not quite up by the top tube.
Tiny bit dropped.
Tiny little bit dropped, as is the way. That's the picture from the front. So they've definitely slimmed down the head tube, because the current head tube looks a bit like a Coke can.
Yeah.
It's straight-sided. It looks like they've done something to bring that in a little bit, and that sort of cam tail design on the down tube as well. So,
Now, I can see something that you've highlighted on the page there.
I have highlighted this.
30mm tyre clearance.
It's currently saying 30C is the maximum tyre clearance.
No. Have you got a gripe with that?
Is it enough?
Well, to me, it's a race bike. And so, you really going to be running 32C tyres on it? I mean, the question is how 30C tyre clearance is it? Because if you look at like Pogacar, for example, who's running his MV wheels and a 30mm Conti, they actually measure a lot more like 32. It's like 31.8 or something. So I'll be intrigued to see what the quoted and actual tyre clearance is, because they're often pretty accurate with their quoted tyre clearance.
Yeah, time when they say a 28, they normally mean a 28.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's some people out there fitted 30s, it gets super tight. It gets super tight. And definitely a little bit of mud and grit or something there is just going to start rubbing away at your paintwork.
So yeah, that'll be my question, is how 30C is it? Because I think
none of us here run over 30. You run 30, I run 30.
Yeah, I must admit, I could see if this bike's been bought and you want it more as an all-rounder type. Well, I mean, it's an aero bike, but you want to use it for multiple functions. You probably would want to run wider tyres on it at some point. So that just seemed a bit surprising to me, to be honest. So.
I think like the SL8 is 32, the Blade is 32. Most race bikes that we see in the Trek Madone is 32.
So have they missed
even
the
though
trick,
most people run a 30.
But it's knowing you have the opportunity or option should you wish to choose it at some point in the future.
Because what I'll be intrigued to see as well is whether they've just done it because that's what they think the maximum people are going to want to run is, or whether there's any sort of speed benefits to it. Like, because you'll often see with like a Blade, for example, with a 32mm tyre clearance, if you then run a 30mm tyre on it, you've got quite a big gap in between the frame and the tyre. And so whether it's then more optimised with that 30mm gap.
There's going to be a trade-off. I mean, obviously, when you wind tunnel test it, you're going to test it with an optimum setup, whichever tyre size that is.
Wind tunnel testing, there's an interesting one.
I don't think this will be wind tunnel tested.
As much as we all like Time, they're definitely a small company. I would be surprised if this has seen much wind tunnel development.
It'll be. I think it'll all be CFD, pretty much.
A CFD, and it might have had a bit of wind tunnel just to confirm numbers. I would be surprised if it's had more than that. Definitely, it's not. We're not a Pinarello or it's been
specialised
in
the wind tunnel
for a long time. There's definitely nothing funky going on. It definitely looks like taking some basic aerodynamic principles to it, as opposed to redefining some stuff. So yeah, it's here we go. We've got the next generation BCS. This is using the new high pressure resin transfer molding as well. So it's a new thing that they're doing out of their new South Carolina factory, is injecting that under resin. And we've got the geometry chart as well, which looks very, very standard race geometry. So 73 angles. The top tube there on a size large is 571, so it's long. The stack on a size large is 584, so slightly high stack actually for an aero bike. Probably higher than most aero bikes, I'd say, but only by about a centimetre or so. That's it. So this is the production. This is to show you what their ambitions were. We're way beyond that. They were hoping to get that launched by now. So.
I think as long as you don't need an extra large, you'll be all right.
But who do you see as the main competitors to this then? I mean,
the main competitors. I think the main competitors really are the very niche brands, the Pinarellos, the Looks. I don't think this competes with like specialised SLAs.
It's certainly bespoke, isn't it?
It's the people who like a really, really special bike that's put something special in. I think the frame's going to be coming in. The prices are still to be confirmed, but they are hoping to get it under £5,000.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be because. It doesn't come with a handlebar, so at this sort of area you've got the Look Blade 5003 with all the handlebar, all the stem, everything, and then you've got things like the Madone
5.5
the
without
SL8,
handlebar,
which is like 475 without a handlebar, etc. So it needs,
I think, price point.
Now, I think it needs to sneak under the £5,000 mark, really.
Now, I did see in there talking about handlebars, they are still using the DCR system. Yep. Now, I was a little bit disappointed at that, because I was really hoping that we were going to be getting a custom cockpit with this, because they're going to have a seat post, which is cool, because we've got a D-shaped seat post, a custom shaped seat post. So that'll be Time. So that's nice to see that back. But I was really hoping for a handlebar. I think it will come. I think there's still. I mean, they've obviously brought Munich components and bringing in potentially wheels. That would be interesting. Under that South Carolina, factory as well. So I suspect when they get that South Carolina factory up and running properly, I would really like to see
imagine a set of Time integrated handlebars. They used to make them a long time
Well, if
ago.
you're really pitching a true aero bike, you've got to really think about that integrated handlebars. 'Cause that's called part of the aero. I mean, how can you claim it's aero if you haven't got the handlebars that are going to complement the
I mean,
aero
it'll work really well with
frame?
the new Data Alanara bars. I think.
And the Vision Metron as well.
Yeah. There's some good bars out there that are on the DCR system. So, but yeah, it would be nice if it's all branded,
colour
wouldn't it?
matched,
Yeah,
and
colour
all that
matched.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But I mean, talking of price as well, £5,000. Do you know what isn't £5,000?
What isn't?
This is a great segue. Go, Jake, tell us what is
Actually,
the
I do know. But I'll let you put the punchline.
The brand new Colnago C68 rim brake coming in at 6,299 Great British
That was
pounds.
such a slick transition. Yeah, well done. So if you haven't seen the news, Colnago have just launched a new bike, the C68 Rim Brake. And that price isn't for the full bike. I had to go.
That is a frame set.
Because on their website, it's got a picture of the full bike with the Campagnolo. I went, 6,200 with it. No, it's not. It's the frame. 6,299. The marketing on it is actually quite hilarious because it's all about reliving the good old days. It's like
Which for those rim brake aficionados that really want to relive those days, I guess. That's my assumption. I mean, I was asking Jake, would this appeal to the kind of the younger market? Are they going to be hankering after a rim brake bike like this? And your answer was?
No. Well, because the thing is out of all of us on this table, I am, and probably one of the few in the audience as well, I'm one of the only ones left on a rim brake bike.
Yeah.
And my reasoning for still running a rim brake bike is price to performance. I've got a Tarmac SL6 and I can get deep wheels for cheap.
in a sick paint job.
That
is one of the major.
The number one
components.
reason why I bought it is because of the paint job. But regardless of that, and all the marketing for this C68 is in plain black, by the way, which are boring.
Yeah, exactly. You know exactly who it's.
The reason
the Monaco riders.
the reason I got that was because of the price to performance.
Yeah.
You know, I've come in significantly under the price of the frame set for that full bike, which I think is pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's for me to get a disc brake bike with equivalent or similar performance, I'm going to be spending double what I spent. So that's my reason for still running a rim brake bike, and I think that's most people who are still running a rim brake bike. That is the reason.
I think there's either the price and availability of components, and you can buy it up out of the market. At the higher end of the market, I think it's people that really just want to relive the glory days of rim brakes and carry on investing in that. And like you say, they want to lead against the cafe down in Monaco on the seafront there, possibly.
In all honesty, though, if you were like one of the Monaco crowds, leading by the seafront, etc., like, wouldn't you maybe be laughing at that you just spent £6,200 on a bike that is heavier than the disc brake version?
That's what I couldn't believe. It's 100 grams heavier than the disc brake one.
They're advertising 1,080 grams for a rim brake frame.
Yeah, it's even heavier than the one with the titanium lugs.
Yeah.
I just think it's mental.
And then, of course, there's the whole thing like, okay, great, you've got your bike now. Okay, so I'll see you in 2 years' time when you're trying to find a spare part for it, because this is only as good as however long they're going to support making components.
Because I had a look, because obviously this is also only electronic group set compatible. So you're not even reliving the good old days.
You can't even go to mechanical if you want to be really truly retro.
Yeah, there's no lugs there for running the cable operated gears at all.
Yeah, the only current generation group set that supports that is Shimano. You can get a current 12-speed Dura Ace or Ultegra with a rim brake shifter, but the new SRAM does not have any rim brake compatibility. The new wireless Campagnolo does not have any rim brake compatibility.
They're still selling that old one, but that however long that's going to last for with that ridiculous EPS battery.
But again, I wouldn't be surprised when we see the next Shimano refresh that we don't see any rim brake compatibility at the top end.
It does feel a bit like shooting yourself in the foot.
It does, because I question, and I'm sure they've got their reasons for it, but I question the business logic behind this in terms of why would you invest time and money and resources in this side of it rather than developing the other products and promoting your other products.
Well, it is virtually the same as the disc brake frame. They've got, the differences are obviously the brake mounts is number one. And the other one is the dropouts, because obviously you're still on quick release but the dropouts are 3D printed, as they so carefully say in their marketing. And the brake mount is the main one. And so with the way that they make the C68 frames with the lugs and the custom tubing that they do, is not a massive amount that they have to change on the frame, because the whole sort of front triangle
is. I think the biggest thing is though is stopping all your manufacturing and retooling everything and then rolling out.
It's a distraction. I think it's a distraction. It's also a distraction. Production-wise, it's a distraction from a marketing and a sales perspective. I believe.
I think that's why the price is so high, because they know they've got to down tools in the factory, clean out all the machines, bring out new molds, and start again, and then Yeah, so
and they're not going to sell many, are they?
It's what we saw happen when Time did their limited edition run. They didn't want to do it just because it meant like literally retraining everybody on a new way to do things, another thing to do, and it's all like, was it really worth that much disruption in the factory to do that? And so that's probably why they pinned the massive.
I'm definitely looking forward to, as I'm riding around, whether it be here or over in Mallorca, spotting one of these on the road and seeing who's actually riding.
I don't want to tap him on the shoulder and say, like, talk me through this. I don't
What made you buy this bike?
I think you just have to ask them if they need a hug, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, I've got a couple of other little things that I want to talk about. So GC Performance did a little video about this, and Bicycle Retail in the US put out an article about Fox suspension are reporting a 40% drop in sales for the first half of 2024. Ouch!
It's almost Trek numbers, that, isn't it?
That's a lot.
Is that because people are reservicing and reinvesting in what they've got as opposed to buying new? Or I mean,
GC Performance, he did a reasonably good podcast about this actually and raised some real questions. And actually, he said he couldn't remember the last time he sold a mountain bike in the shop, and not even getting people walking in and asking about it, not even inquiries.
Well, I suppose he does live in Florida, though, doesn't he?
He does live in Florida, but he said that even that was strange for him, and it made me reflect on what we do. And we haven't really seen a lot of mountain bike new builds recently. We've seen a lot of service work. Our suspension servicing has kicked off this year.
Dan has been very busy in the last couple of weeks.
Dan has been very, very busy. And also some retro stuff. We've been doing some servicing on some retro forks as well, which you don't see that often. So yeah, and I don't blame them, because I think e-mountain bikes are replacing a lot of mountain biking.
I would agree.
And it's very hard to buy a frame only and modify and switch things up and stuff with an e-mountain bike. They tend to come as a full package. You don't tend to buy a frame only with a motor. You tend to have to buy the whole bike. And then
so your assumption is that people would be normally in the market for a regular I say mountain bike are now shifting to buying an e-mountain bike. Then,
big time. Yeah. I think we see that play out in the trail centres.
And even with like the Olympics and Tom Pidcock just having won his gold medal again. I mean, you don't even see that sending a trend back through the younger generation, inspiring people.
I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing a massive resurgence. A little bit of a resurgence in cross country, the lighter weight stuff, but it's not. Yeah, it's not massive.
To be honest, I don't see. I've not seen a massive increase in. Because I mean, that's his second, obviously, back-to-back titles since 21. I don't think we've seen a particular increase in cross country in this country.
But definitely, like once you sort of get to 120, up to 180 mil of travel, I think it's all about the e-bike
100%
now, and you get another thing when you get into downhill. I think when people are still looking at analog bikes and the sort of the downhill 200 mil travel type things. We struggled to buy a frame set only to therefore do custom builds, etc. But I think people are looking at e-bikes and go, that's what I want. You go to a trail centre and
well, it's a hell of a lot easier going uphill, that's for sure.
Well, you can get more done as well, can't you? You can get more done on an
cover
e-bike.
more ground. And well, it's like, I guess it's like the analogy is like, you go skiing, you take the ski lift because you want to enjoy the descending ski. You don't walk up the mountain, do you?
No, for sure.
You get 1 or 2 runs in it.
So I wonder if people are holding off on a new mountain bike purchase,
waiting for an
e-bike, or either saving up for it or waiting for the prices to come back down.
I think as well, through sort of COVID and stuff, a lot of people have bought discount e-bikes. Mm-hmm. We see a lot of people coming in with e-bikes now, and they are people coming in to get stuff serviced.
Yeah.
And so I think we've seen a dip in sales in road and all that sort of stuff in the last couple of years. But must be coming in mountain bike as well, evidently. Yeah,
big time. Okay, next little bit of order of business. SRAM, we had a bit of a joke, didn't we, that we should probably put on the podcast, is to do a weekly segment of what is SRAM sold out of this week. I don't know, but if you're from a bike shop, let us know how you're getting on, but we are forever fighting against silly stuff that should always be in stock.
Yeah, the big one recently has been brake hoses, isn't it?
Brake hoses, and now we've got brake hoses in stock. Now,
no pads.
Got no brake pads. And literally every type of brake pads from access, the codes, everything, they're all out of stock until
ridiculous
until the 21st of the 9th or something.
So you've got 6 weeks to wait if you want a set of brake pads. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Scary.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily there's a few third-party brands and stuff like that who must be rubbing their hands and going, "Oh, brilliant! We've just seen a spike in our brake pad sales and stuff." But you know, these brands seem to be sort of struggling. They're bringing out like 13-speed SRAM red, and you're like, come on, like we literally. A few weeks ago, bottom brackets were like impossible to get hold of, and then it was brake hoses were impossible to get hold of, and now it's this, and like it's literally in front of you. All you've got to do is provide people with the spare parts, and you know, weirdly, they're £26 a brake pad or something, ridiculous price for brake pads, but they just sell several sets a day.
Yeah.
And if, like, I don't understand why they're doing all this marketing hassle behind launching a 13-speed when they could easily make that much money back in just having brake pads in stock.
Just get your basic logistics working the way they should.
Yeah, rather than complicate it. Talk about that. You've now taken delivery of your SRAM red levers.
Unfortunately, I've got some new pads on that you put on the other week, so I just got
so
that
your brakes are working.
So my brakes are working.
Yeah.
No, I must admit, I am over the moon with these new brake levers and how efficient they are. And you know, I'm definitely not a rim brake enthusiast. I mean, I've been riding disc brakes and very efficiently, but these new ones are super responsive. I can't believe it. I mean, until you ride it and actually come across a tractor coming around a country lane and you need to brake. I mean, there's so much difference. And even the fact if I'm riding up on the hoods and then just touching it, it's super responsive. So it's been well worth that investment. It's saved me a couple of close shaves with a tractor the other week, a dog the week before, and a Range Rover, Land Rover Discovery as well.
When you've got the ability to stop so quickly and from whatever handlebar you want, you do to go a bit faster, don't you?
Well, I was thinking the other day,
I
haven't been on a group ride for a couple of weeks. I think I better tell the guys behind I've got these new brakes on. I'll be stopping suddenly.
And so I found myself the other day, I never really ride like this, but I was riding with my hands on the hood and I just tucked it in. Normally when I'd get down on the drops, but I just rode and I had my little fingers resting on the brake pads, just controlling the speeds, following someone's phone as well. It was so comfortable there. I'd never ride like that normally. Like, where did that come from?
I like it. I mean, I'm going to enthuse about this now because just a little bit more reach. Also, when I get down on my bars and I've got my hands in that position, they're just a little bit further forward, which is much more aero for me, and we've got aero position, and that helps counter when I've dropped my headset down a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the ergonomics, the feel, the way they fit into between my finger, my thumb. Yeah. Absolutely.
People have been sort of complaining that they reckon that the extra reach causes them to have a shorter stem and everything else, and maybe it does. But for me, I think if anything, if you've got the mobility, you've got the core strength, I don't notice 5 to 6 millimeters at all in either direction.
Well, I can ride a time trial bike, which is pretty aggressive, so this is pretty good for me.
Yeah.
So.
And final thing, the new Pirelli RS. Well, not new. They've been like a couple of months now.
Yeah, I've had mine on for a couple of months.
Yeah. So you've, I've just been sent a set to review. In fact, thanks for that. It's like a couple of months after release date, but we have got a set in. I've just fitted them up. We've done a video about that. But you guys have been riding them.
Yeah.
You've had them for a few weeks. You've had them for a few months.
Yeah.
First impressions of them?
Well, first thing is, Ty, who fitted them for me, he was like huffing and puffing and said it took him quite a while to get them on. It was super tight on my fulcrum wheels. So I wondered if it was just my wheels. But
no, I had the same. It took me about 10 minutes with 6 tyre levers at home to fit mine. They inflated fine.
6 tyre levers?
Well, not that many. I'm exaggerating.
You need to start lifting some weights, Jake.
No, it's my little thumbs, Paul. It's my little thumbs. But they were tight to fit, and I think, you didn't struggle with yours though, did you?
No, you just went straight on my fast forwards. Absolutely no problem at all.
Well,
I just rolled them on.
I'm dreading getting a puncture, but as touch wood, I haven't had one yet. So
I think I'd definitely take a tyre lever in my thing. They weren't as easy as the
old P0s were unbelievably easy to fit.
They were.
They would just slip on like a glove.
The Michelins that I have been running were easy on and easy off and stuff. So, but these were a little bit tighter than the Michelins. I'll give you that. But, yeah.
And on the road, I'm not an expert on tyres, but they definitely feel like they give good contact. I feel, I'm really pleased with the rate of riding and the feel of everything. I must admit, they're on my best bike, so I haven't been out in the wet on it in the last couple of weeks yet. So.
Weather.
Even though it's pouring with rain here in the Lake District. So.
Yeah, we should probably do some wet weather testing, but I can't.
I've ridden mine in the wet. They've been down some wet alpine descents.
Oh, of course.
I think they hold up really well in like proper wet conditions. Okay. I'm not 100% convinced yet in wet and dry. So when you're kind of switching between, my friend Jack actually he binned it on a wet and dry descent with those tyres on. But I reckon that was just Jack's fault. But if you're watching Jack. But yeah, I to be honest, I didn't notice a massive difference from the old ones.
Yeah.
The price difference also isn't that much. They're about £5 more, I think.
Yeah,
than the last ones.
we're like $77.99 versus $84.99.
Yeah. So there's not a massive price difference in them. I do seem to be wearing mine out quite quickly though. So I have done a couple of Tokyo drifts on them, in races and stuff. I've actually won a race on them as well. So
when you say wearing out, are they flat spotting on the back or?
Yeah, the back tread is becoming very flat pretty
how's
quickly.
the degradation been? I think they still feel like
Still
they're handling
they still feel fine.
Yeah,
They still feel fine. I've not pushed them a massive amount, but yeah, we'll see. They've not sort of blown me away, but I've not been disappointed with them either.
Crikey, there we go. A little bit of a preview. I've got them fitted on my bike. They're going to be a bigger review coming up on the channel fairly soon. So yeah, and with that all said, I think we're done. Thanks for listening, everybody. Okay. Please think about subscribing to this channel. This is the new vodcast channel. Like I say, it's available on audio as well. So if you see the video come up, you'll see the video and the audio on YouTube, and of course audio on Spotify and Apple and Amazon, and you can watch the video on Spotify as well. Like, we're just out there.
Yeah. Perfect.
Right, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you.